Greetings.
Hello.
Wow, he appears to want to be here.
Welcome to Trinity Fellowship Church Without Walls. Who is? And today we're going to do
Sarai.
Sarai.
So, Sarai. Sarai. I do believe that that's how it's spelled, Sarai.
Yes.
So, Sarai was later named Sarah, and we know her as the mother of Isaac. Right? Yes. So, we briefly did a quick little brief about Abram and Abraham, and it'll be up there. And they were married, and she gave birth to a son when she was 90. Nope, when she was,
Yeah, when she was 90.
She was 90.
That
was ancient and old at the time. All right. I'm 50, well, 51, but I can't fathom. Oh my gosh, having a baby at this age.
Let's look at the story for just a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. Before her name change, there was something that took place in the entire camp.
This is true. This is very accurate.
There was a covenant made between God and Abram, and God changed his name from Abram to Sarai. Abram to Abraham.
Yes.
But he also changed Sarah's name from Sarai
to
Sarah.
What are the differences? What does that mean?
I know that Abram means father of a nation, whereas Abraham is father of many nations.
So Sarai means princess, while Sarah means my princess, much closer to a queen.
Ooh. So
more exalted
position. So that after that covenant was, they cut the animals in half, and the burning the lantern went in between them, and Abram scared all the birds of prey away. That's when God changed his name from Abram to Abraham. Sarai, who was his sister from a different, same father, Terah, but from a different mother.
Right, which was completely normal back then.
Which was normal back then.
And so they were married.
They were married for a long time.
Yes.
A very long time.
Now, even though Terah, Abram's father, and Sarai's father had more than one wife,
yes,
Abram did not at that time.
No. In fact, there's three actually not three. There's two instances where Sarai and Sarah are put in compromised situations. What's the difference? Well, the Sarai was before the circumcision, and when they went because of the famine, they went down to Egypt, and Abram told his sister to lie and say, "You're my sister, not my wife."
It's a half-truth.
It's a half-truth.
Which is still a lie.
It's a half-truth. But something happened inside Pharaoh's house, so Pharaoh could never consummate the marriage, and that's when God revealed in a dream to Pharaoh, "Hey, this is what's happening, and you're going to die." So the Pharaoh the next day gives Sarai
says, "Here,
back
why did
to Abram.
you not tell me?
Why didn't you tell me this?"
She was your wife. And Abram did it because he was afraid.
He was afraid for his own life because she was so beautiful.
Sarah
Even
was so beautiful.
80 years old, she was beautiful.
Yeah.
And so, again, this happened again when she was Sarah. This is after the birth of Ishmael, but before the birth of Isaac.
Now, if you're not sure what's going on with that, okay, so Abraham had already received a promise of a child, and Sarah, being your typical female, said, "Okay, maybe God meant it to be through someone else, not me." And so she gave her slave Hagar to Abraham as a wife.
Now imagine you've been trying to have a baby for most of your life with this guy, and her womb was barren, and she felt it, and so she wanted to bring joy to her husband, because she knew that her husband
As
wanted
well
an heir.
as, I think there was a level there with many of us humans that maybe I could just help God out here.
That absolutely is also part of.
I think
part
that
of
that's potentially part of it.
is part of it. And that whole situation starts a whole other
There's drama.
drama.
Oh my word! Drama
so-
in that camp has
so-
nothing.
So we have
on.
the point where we go from they left Egypt and they went back up into Canaan, and that's when Hagar started messing around with Sarah.
Yeah, she became very defiant.
Very defiant.
Even though Sarah was still her mistress, she really took on a different role purposefully, and she was becoming very disrespectful to Sarah. Sarah also was not treating her very kindly.
No, she was not, and that's only when she was pregnant. There's another time where she finally had Sarah had finally had enough and told Abraham to kick Hagar and Ishmael out. They kicked them out one time, and the Lord found her, and that is where you can hear the story of El Roi, is because that is the God who sees me, and that is what Hagar, an Egyptian, called our God, is the God who sees me.
Because God saw her in her suffering.
And
and because God told Abraham, yes, listen to your wife Sarah and let them leave. And then God found Hagar and Ishmael in the wilderness saying, hey, no, you're not going to die. He's not going to die. He will also father many nations.
Yes.
And
in fact, Ishmael is the father of the 12 tribes that can be linked to Islam.
Yes.
So Ishmael played a very big part.
Indeed.
But there's warnings twice in Genesis that talk about how Ishmael will fight with his brothers.
And that has come very true.
And that has come very true as we're looking at today.
Sarah, all right, she was a woman who kind of had an idea of her own mind. She definitely was someone who felt, like many women, the need to help God. Maybe God really, maybe I need to be doing this. So there was doubt in her. Am I doing the right thing? Am I not doing the right thing? There was anger in her. There was some frustration in her. She was your typical average human. But beyond that, she had one child.
Well, the story of that one child is also very interesting.
Very interesting. We'll go into him more.
Yeah, we'll go into Isaac a little bit more because he deserves his own video. But
yeah, he will.
For Sarah, this is very interesting because 3 visitors come to meet Abraham. He runs out from underneath his tent because he's sitting in the shade, and he goes out and he greets the 3 visitors, brings them in. He goes and gets the kitchen ready to serve some stuff up. Sarah's in the kitchen. She's cooking stuff up. He brings some cheese curds and stuff out so they can start sharing and fellowshipping. And then all of a sudden, then those 3 people that were visiting Abram, one was God, a theophany, Jesus Christ, who came in the flesh to talk to humans. That's how he did it, okay? And 2 angels. And the reason we know this is because after Jesus tells Abraham Sarah is going to give him a son, and then Sarah laughs.
In her heart. She didn't laugh out loud.
But
Well,
she
maybe
laughed.
maybe she did laugh a little bit out loud.
She laughed.
I mean, was it audible? I think
And
maybe
then
it was.
And then she came out and she was called to the carpet by God. I didn't laugh. And Jesus says, well,
Yeah,
the theophany
you
says,
did.
yes, you did. So that we'll say the Lord. So then, at that point, the 2 visitors got up and started to walk out. And so the 3rd visitor went with Abraham, and Abraham looked over the valley of Sodom and Gomorrah where the travelers were going, the 2 travelers. And that is when not only was the I will come back this time next year, and you will have a son by Sarah. And then
by Sarah, who is 90 or 89 at the time.
89 at the time. But the amazing thing is Abram also had an opportunity to bargain with God, which is one of the few times it actually happens in the Bible where you get to bargain. And that's about the Sodom and Gomorrah, but we'll leave that for another time.
One.
But it's important to understand that a year after the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, Isaac was born.
So literally, Sarah's beauty was pretty legendary, and realistically, there's also one other place that Sarah is mentioned, and that is in the chapter we tend to call like the Hall of Faith, Hebrews chapter 11, where it lists people who are renowned for their faith, and two women made it in there. First, Sarah, and then Rahab.
Where am I going?
Chapter 11, Hebrews.
Hebrews. How did I blow through Hebrews?
Probably
Hebrews is a big book.
Verse like
there we go.
13. Maybe verse 13-ish.
By faith, even Sarah herself, verse 11.
Verse 11.
Chapter 11. When she was unable to have children, received power to conceive offspring, even though she was past the age, since she considered that the one, God, who had promised, was faithful.
Yes. So even though she doubted, even though she was like, yeah, right, she still knew the power of God.
And like my beautiful co-host here has just mentioned, she not only was her beauty legendary, but her faith was legendary. That's what got her into the Hall of Faith. So what I can do this. Sorry guys, it's been a rough week.
TBI.
Oh, what does Sarah's story ultimately have as its conclusion?
As its conclusion, she was the first Hebrewess. She was considered the first mother, not Eve kind of mother, but the first mother of the faith.
Mother of the faith, right.
What am I missing? What are you trying to get to?
She was blessed.
She was.
And she called out that blessing for what it was.
Yes.
And praised the Lord for that blessing, because her womb was no longer closed. She had given birth to a son and gave a son to her husband. And she was deeply emotionally attached to Isaac. The story of Isaac and Sarah is also legendary about how much they loved each other. And so, but that's for another time. But for now, the other part of this is without Abraham and Sarah, would we have access? No, we would not. So it's because of Abraham and Sarah we have access to the God who already loves us. And the reason we have access is because Abraham and Sarah were blessed. Many nations are going to come from you, and the world will be blessed, according to Galatians. So God loved us so much, he knew the only way to help us was for himself to come down to earth and put on this fleshly form and become the Messiah.
Yeah.
And we nailed the Messiah to the cross.
Nailed him.
We nailed and buried him, and then 3 days later he came back to life. And then finally we know he's coming back because Hebrews chapter 11, faith chapter, says, along with a lot of other scriptures, he's coming back for us. And until that time, we need to be about spreading the seed, sharing the gospel, and hopefully you guys were able to get something out of this, be able to apply Sarah's faith to your life.
Yeah.
Or if there's any other, if you're dealing with any problems or if you need prayer, put them in the comments. We'll pray for you. We've had several prayer requests.
Absolutely.
As well as hit that like button, because it's our algorithm is driven by that like button. The more likes we get and the more sharing you do on your other social medias will help this thing reach more people. Now, there's no number to the amount of people we want to reach. We just want to reach as many people within the sound of our voice.
We want to reach whoever God wants us to reach.
Whoever God wants us to reach. So pray about sharing.
Exactly.
And if God is laying on your heart to share, then please do so. If God is laying on your heart to put down a prayer request, do so. We won't mention any names. We'll just keep saying we're getting prayers on the prayer list.
Exactly.
And we'll be praying for those.
Yes.
So, thanks for hanging out with us. And this was a fun one. I like this one.
This was fun.
This was a little fun. I
Yeah.
like it. All right, so I'm going to end it the way I started it. God is always doing something. I know that doesn't sound right. God is always doing something.
He is never doing nothing.
I'm a goof.
Yes, but you're my goof. I love you.
Love you too.